All right, so bell ringer for today. Let me find it. There it is. So describe the Battle of Britain. Did Hitler actually go through with the full plan of Operation Sea Lion? And what was up with America during the time of 1939 and 1941? What were they doing? What was going on? That video kind of summarized that for you. There we go. Give you a couple minutes to work on this. We'll move on. Hey, what's up?
Hunter, come in for a second, please.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
No, you're good. You're fine.
He's probably Cajun.
Yeah. All right, so let's go over this real quick. So we know by 1940, France fell, right? Okay, that only left one Allied power left in Europe. And with that being said, they're not on the mainland. They're an island, and that's Great Britain. So describe the Battle of Britain. All right, what was Operation Sea Lion? Did it actually occur? Did it actually happen? And maybe talk about what actually happened, what actually went through. Okay, what the Germans did to Great Britain. So what do we have? What do we got? What do we got here? Lance, what do you have, man?
Battle of Great Britain is basically just Germany's Air Force trying to bomb Great Britain, and Great Britain's Air Force defending it. There wasn't a lot of troops on the ground fighting, and Hitler didn't go all the way with Operation Sea Lion, because he's losing a lot of supplies, trying to make Great Britain submit to them. So he turned his attention to trying to take over the Soviet Union.
Awesome. Good work. Good work. Okay, so Operation Sea Lion actually didn't, happen, right? Hitler didn't think it was a smart move to try to invade Great Britain. And we know that Great Britain's that island. They have a strong Navy. They have a strong Air Force. And to try to send troops across the English Channel to try to combat against the RAF constantly in the air, right, it was a difficult task to do, especially to try to send troops across that English Channel. Right? He would lose a lot of men, a lot of manpower. He'd lose a lot of resources if he attempted this. So he decided to do something else. And what is the name of what is the name of Germany's Air Force? What is that called? What's that called? I don't remember. Germany's Air Force. What's the name of it? Yeah, you don't know. Luftwaffe. Yep, good job. The Luftwaffe. There it is. Luftwaffe. Someone called it the other day. Yeah, Luftwaffe. All right. So he decided to use his Air Force, the Luftwaffe, to try to bombard Great Britain, try to bomb them into submission, try to make them surrender by crushing, military outposts, transportation systems, factories, businesses, you name it. Okay. Later, towards the end of this lasted about a year and a half. Hitler kind of gave up on it. He was like, you know what? I'm just going to try to bomb civilian centers. Right? We're going to bomb cities. We're going to try to destroy churches, civilian centers, hospitals, you name it. Okay, to try to crush the morale of Great Britain. But it didn't happen. Winston Churchill had the people of Great Britain motivated to never surrender, to never give up. And with that being said, Hitler stopped targeting many of these transportation systems like railroads and bridges and roads. He stopped targeting industries that were producing radar systems, producing aircraft, producing different types of war armaments and supplies. So the people of Great Britain carried on. They continued with their normal lives, but a lot of times they resorted down in the subway tunnels, built different types of shelters in their basement and in their backyards to try to protect themselves from these bombing runs. Like I said, these bombing runs pretty much lasted almost every night for about a year and a half. So you can imagine how terrible of a experience that could be. And constantly, during the day and everything, coming out and seeing the destruction that was laid waste in these larger cities. And many of these families were broken up. Okay, parents, because they had to continue to create, right? These adults had to create these armaments and supplies, send their kids off to the countryside, up in the north part of Great Britain, so that they're protected and that they can continue to produce supplies and armaments. It was a terrible time for these people in Great Britain. But one thing to note is that they never gave up. They never surrendered. All right, so realistically, Operation Sea Lion didn't actually happen. This invasion didn't occur. Hitler knew what it would cost, so he decided just to send the Luftwaffe across the English Channel and destroy as many places as possible. But Great Britain had radar. They had the RAF to combat against the Luftwaffe. And that is a victory for Great Britain. Okay. We all know, though, is Great Britain a threat to Germany right now? No, not at all. Not at all. So Hitler just kind of stops, right? He continues to send bombing runs over across these major cities like London, but he stops with this invasion. He doesn't even think about doing it anymore. He turns his attention to the east, to Soviet Union, which we'll talk a little bit more about next week. All right, so what was America doing during this time? Great Britain's the only country left, the Allied power, okay, fighting against the Axis powers in Europe. What is the U.S. doing? They're good buddies with Great Britain. Are they helping them out? Chikari?
They were going through their own stuff.
Depression, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And Congress wasn't allowing them to go into the war.
Or trade or sell any
Or
types
trade.
of armaments.
Yeah.
And what were they called again? What acts?
I was thinking about this the entire time, and it just left my brain.
What were they called? Ethan, you remember? Yeah, Neutrality Acts, right? Staying neutral, right, during this conflict. And this was Congress' way of saying to the U.S., we're not getting involved. We're going to stay isolated. All right, good. Good job. Okay, eventually. Into this war. But up until 1941, the U.S. is involved with this Neutrality Acts. Congress established many of these to make sure that the U.S. doesn't get involved. Okay. All right. Is there any questions on that? So have that ready to go. I'm going to come around and check these bell ringers. So for those in here, obviously at home, please submit them. And if you think about just putting a few words down or bullet points, I'm not going to count them. So you need to have in-depth responses. It's only going to help you out. Okay. So real quick, I want to go over this activity first before I come around and check your bell ringer so we all know what we're doing. All right, so there's many different types of political cartoons that describe these neutrality acts. And actually, a person that you know pretty well, Dr. Seuss, created a lot of these political cartoons, right? I know, I guess he's not the most favorite person in the media nowadays, but it's still during World War II, he created a lot of political cartoons that express many ideas. And Dr. Seuss was against warfare. He was against fascism. Okay, so we can maybe take some of these different types of political cartoons and understand them and see his viewpoints and opinions about the war. And many people agreed with it. Okay, this is right before he starts making children novels. And you can kind of tell that it's his artwork. Okay, if you ever read a Dr. Seuss book, you can tell exactly what his artwork kind of looks like. It's interesting. All right, so with this assignment, I'd like you to research on your own. Okay, you can use Google, whatever you'd like to do. Find a political cartoon that resembles the Neutrality Acts. Okay, don't get it misunderstood, though, with World War I or a different type of political cartoon. So you need to find one that pertains to the 1930s Neutrality Acts preventing the U.S. to get involved with World War II. So you're going to find this, okay, you're going to find this picture, political cartoon. Okay, if you want to, you can attach it to this somehow, this political cartoon analysis worksheet that I have attached, or you can just turn it in along with it. Whatever you would like to do, whatever's easiest. Okay, but I want to see your political cartoon. I want to see your explanation of it as well. Okay, that's how you'll fill this out, these questions here. So once you find a political cartoon, submit it, right? Okay, or just attach it to this worksheet. There's just a couple questions I'd like you to answer pertaining to the cartoon that you chose. All right, so here's a couple of them I just found. All right, I just typed the Neutrality Acts, political cartoon, and a couple of them came up. So here's an interesting one here. All right, so here's FDR and really what Congress is supposed to be. And U.S., it seems like they're fine. They're sitting on the top of the house, just like, oh yeah, we just need to talk about this, and maybe we need to help some of these countries out in Europe. And we know across the pond, right, across the Atlantic Ocean, Europe's in devastation. The Axis powers are taking over, and here we are in the United States having issues, having conflicts, having discussions about what the U.S.'s stance should be. All right, here's a Dr. Seuss one. This is a cool one. All right, so you can see it down in the bottom, Dr. Seuss. All right, so the Neutrality Acts, okay, this is supposed to resemble Uncle Sam, right? This is supposed to resemble the United States. And this is the aid that will win the war, sent to Great Britain, the Allied powers. But it's held back, right? The Neutrality Acts is holding this ship back from getting to Europe. They call it the Old Man of the Sea. Right? Our hands are tied of what we can actually do. Here's an interesting one, too. Here's another Dr. Seuss one. So U.S. neutrality, all-out aid to the Allies. Well, it's just in a circular motion. It's really not going over to Europe. It's not helping anybody out whatsoever. Okay, it just shows that these supplies, these armaments that the U.S. could possibly make is not getting to Europe. Right? All right, so you get the picture here. You get the picture. Here's a good one, too. Last one I'll show. All right, here's Europe in bed, right? And here's all the issues, okay? It acts like diseases or viruses or sicknesses in Europe, okay? Nazi fever, Blitzpox, Hitleritis, Stalin itch, Italian mumps. Oh, my. Okay, so in that bed across in Europe, right across the Atlantic Ocean, there's all these issues going on. They refer to them as different types of diseases. And over here in the Western Hemisphere, America, oh, we're sleeping pretty good. What a lucky thing we got separate beds, right? All right, so that explains the distance that we have and how we could stay out of this war. And then at the bottom, you can see who wrote that as well. All created it. All right, so like I said, find a political cartoon that you find interesting, that you would like to look at. If you want to use one of the ones I went over, that's fine, but try to look for something different. Obviously, there's many of them that you can choose from. Well, that's kind of what I'm looking for. All right, so again, attach it to that assignment somehow. If you want to just submit it along with your response, okay, with this political cartoon analysis worksheet, that would be great. All right, does everybody know what we're doing? Okay, so remember, use detail with your responses. No bullet points, No one-word answers, okay? Try to express it in detail. All right, that's all we got for today. Not too bad.